That's still the best intro with all the sports talk. I don't care what anybody says. Number one. Number one. That's not just the only thing we're number one at. We are going to talk about the NBA championship. Uh, Kevin Burnerman Durant to the Rockets. Bunch more. Um, we'll probably recap the Stanley Cup and its destruction at the moment in South Florida. If you missed it last week, I slipped up and used the F word on Florida, and no, Florida's not the F word, but I did use the F word, saying why would there be a team there? I will try not to repeat it this week for the children that are watching. We have fans of all ages, I know, um, but we got a bonus this week. Quick hits is usually 3. Our very own John Shear has the bonus one this week. Bonus time, John, come on in.
Now, this is a good one too. So, children, you
Wow.
might want to shield your ears.
I'm scared. I'm
You
scared.
should be.
So, real quick, we're going to get to Durant to the Rockets later, but in your quickest of answers, are you glad he didn't go to your Miami Heat?
Oh yeah. I mean, we got. Obviously, we're not winning a championship with what we got, but what we have is pretty good. You just need to add some stars somewhere. But I mean, Miami has a really good young core. They just have to get a couple more big names, and then I think they'll be good. But I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to give up everything like the Suns did. Like I worked out for Phoenix. Like no thanks, I'm good.
All right, let's bring in the guy who is Durant's new best buddy, and already has drank the Kool Aid in the chat. He said it was, it's not that bad. Welcome to the show, not Dave.
No, no, not quite Dave. And well, to be fair, and John was the first to respond. I actually was not a fan of it. But yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. I've got some stuff to say.
Wow. So in other words, he drank the Kool Aid. Everybody, Kool Aid drinker. We will not like Durant. We will never like Durant. Get a burner. Come at me, KD. I ain't afraid of your burners. Anybody could come up with one. John has one about fish. I don't
I'm
know.
sure I do. I don't remember. I'm sure I do.
John's got multiple. Don't tell Danny. All
John's
right.
opening up his own restaurant, Me Bounds and Cheeseburgers. It'll be in the southern Pennsylvania DMV area, coming in time for Christmas,
All
December.
right. Let's get to quick hits because I have a feeling that the bonus is going to be spectacular.
Yep. All right.
All right. How much would this mean to the MLS if an MLS team wins the FIFA Club World Cup? So I'm going to start real quick before I get to that. We all got to see the trophy. Some of us got to take a picture with it
Oh my gosh, it was
at,
amazing.
at Radio Row. It's one of the prettiest trophies I've seen.
Yep.
Um, Jay, you could start with the answer on this particular topic.
I think it would be huge, especially since there are some out there that don't take the MLS seriously
Nobody.
compared to the rest of the world. James Tatum, but if there's 3 teams in the FIFA Club World Cup: Seattle, LA, and Inter Miami. If one of them were to win the FIFA Club World Cup, it would be huge because there is an MLS team winning on the world stage. Not to mention, you have one of the biggest, probably the biggest soccer player in the sport in Lionel Messi in Inter Miami, and one of the best athletes in the world, like period. I think it would be. Should LA or Seattle win, it'd be just as big. But just imagine if Inter Miami took home the FIFA Club World Cup. I think it would be huge.
Interesting, John.
Oh yeah, I mean the trophy is what matters because nobody cares about the MLS. Um, how much would it mean? I mean, would it really matter? Nobody in America cares about soccer anyway. The only time they care is every 4 years. They pretend to care whenever the Olympics come around, and everybody's like, "Oh man, yeah, soccer. Oh wow, let's root for them." That's the only time anybody pretends to care because other than that, when do you hear anything at all about soccer in the United States? Not counting stuff in Europe. I'm talking about stuff that happens in America. Never. You never hear anything. So it wouldn't. I mean, nobody cares, so it doesn't matter.
And you know what? When I gave, I'm sorry.
MLS is nobody gives a damn about the MLS. I tried, but like they literally have like nobody show up.
I mean,
Schedule.
and mind you, when I gave my answer, I apologize. I should have clarified this. I wasn't thinking in terms of the common fan. I was thinking from the standpoint of the MLS commissioner. If I'm the MLS commissioner and someone from my League One on a world stage, I'm beating my chest. No matter how, and I get it. You know, there's people out there that don't take the MLS seriously, but I would at least be hopeful that just a little bit more people would take it seriously. That's if I'm the MLS commissioner. Think about it in like college sports, right? You know what I mean? Whenever the SEC wins a football national championship, no matter if it's Bama or LSU or Georgia or whoever, the SEC commissioner is the one that's sitting proud. You know, that's my conference. And then just imagine those years when it was 2 SEC teams in a national championship game. Once again, if you're the SEC commissioner, you're beating your chest. That's my conference. That trophy is coming home to the conference. You know, so
but they're relevant. The SEC is relevant, and people know they exist. Nobody knows MLS exists. There's people out there. You said there's people out there. There's people out there that don't even know this league exists. There's people out
That's
there
why.
that
That's
don't
why
care,
winning it,
which is
John,
everybody.
would be huge. That's why
But
winning
nobody's going to care if they win it anyway because it sucks. The talent sucks. The promotion sucks. It all sucks. Nobody cares.
John, you're speaking as though you suck with that response, because this is how you make a name for your league. You win something that's huge.
It's already
like
dead.
The FIFA Club World Cup.
FIFA.
It's not.
It's dead.
It's
MLS is already dead. It's like roadkill. Just
and forget
laying
FIFA.
on the
It's
road.
FIFA right now. I've renamed it. They should be thankful. I'm going to make it relevant again. I am going to make FIFA the greatest thing in sports. Okay. Anyway.
Then he's going to rename it FOFA and then FUMFA. But go ahead.
But yes, it would be
like
huge for the MLS. But the MLS sucks, so that'll never happen.
Exactly.
But it would be huge. What's number 2? Early 2025 WNBA champions predictions. Top 4 teams as of now: Minnesota, New York, Phoenix, Atlanta. John, you want to start here?
I'm going to go New York. The Liberty are so good. They're so deep. And I know Minnesota's had a nice resurgence. I can't say the Fever. I know everybody's going to want to say the Fever, but I haven't seen it enough. They're like inconsistent, you know, like I think they were 6-6 when I last checked. They're so inconsistent. 6-7. Like they'll be really good one game, and then another game they lose to the Valkyries. Like they need to take that next step. I'm waiting for that. I haven't seen it yet. Kind of like Minnesota took that next step. So it's New York by a mile. And I really don't see anybody else close right now. So New York.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and as of right now take New York to repeat. They got things clicking on all cylinders. Even though Minnesota has the best record in the league currently, they have 12 wins. I think New York is behind at maybe 10-3, maybe even 11-2. But the Fever, if somehow they make the postseason, Caitlin Clark would have dragged them there. The Las Vegas Aces are middling right now. So now's the time for either one of these 4 teams to take advantage before any one of those other teams catch fire and start running. But as of right now, I'm picking the New York Liberty to repeat.
Listen, forget about your Fever and Caitlin Clark. Overrated. Needed someone else to bail her out.
Here we go. Here comes the Caitlin Clark hate.
She's a flopper.
Here comes the hate train.
Her teammate's the boss. Much respect to Sophie Cunningham. She stepped up when it mattered. Caitlin, sorry, you're not it. You're not even close to it. But anyway, who's going to win the championship? Somebody.
Pick your city, dude.
Good job. Congratulations.
Pick your city.
You really went on a limb there.
Listen, it's the WNBA. Have I watched one game this season? No. The only sport going right now is baseball.
But they have a lot more relevance than that garbage league we just talked about, the MLS. At least WNBA, their rating for a game recently was high. I believe it was as high as the majority of NBA Finals games combined. I believe it was the first 5 games combined. Barely beat out one of the WNBA games the other day. So
Bring back Lisa Leslie and Cheryl
WNBA,
Swoops and I'm all in.
they got 20 million views in a game the other
This new
day.
crop of stars and not stars, that they're not good.
Yeah, they got 20 million views in a game the other day that wasn't even had anything to do with the Fever.
That's good.
So
They got,
and they outdid the NBA Finals.
good for them.
Like,
kudos.
You got to give them their credit, so you can't like knock them like we did the MLS. Because MLS is garbage.
Listen, every sport has their fans. I am not a fan of the WNBA.
No, but who is your prediction? Because you're really beating around the bush here.
Let's see. Considering I know nothing about any of these teams except Sandy Bordello is the coach in New York, and they won last year. I'm going to go with New York.
But he froze.
Thank you. It should not have taken that long to pick your city, dude.
Jeez, Mike Caratenuto here. Like,
brought the first championship to the city since the 2011
and
Giants.
You're from New York. You're from New York.
Wow. I didn't pick them because I'm from New York. I picked them because they won last year. To me, it's irrelevant.
Well, why didn't you just jump on that train right away? I mean, you're a New Yorker.
Give me women's tennis. Give me women's golf. Give me women's ice hockey. I don't like the WNBA. And I coached girls basketball. I am not a WNBA fan. I don't know why. It does nothing for me.
Traitor.
Maybe because they have the wrong person as the face of their league. Caitlin Clark is not it. Anyway, anybody but Caitlin Clark. Don't like her.
Thanks. That's a great answer.
Sophie Cunningham. Let's go there. Someone who stands up for their teammate.
Nobody knows who that is.
Everybody knows who that is after the other night because she protected Caitlin Clark. I mean, So.
Jay.
All right. Let's go to number 3 because we spent way too much time. All right. So this one isn't even a real question because anyone who answers wrong will be banned from the show from now on.
Here we go.
Well, go ahead, answer first. You answer first.
Which do you prefer on a hot day, snow cones or popsicles? Now, I am the guy. We had one winter where the ice cream truck used to come around in the winter. In New York, the winter's cold.
Oh,
and what do you get in the cold winter? You get a snow cone.
No, you don't eat ice cream
in the
cold.
Cone. It's not an ice cream. It's a snow cone.
That's it. And yes,
snow cones are great any time of year.
Snow cones and popsicles are ice cream. That is all under the ice cream umbrella.
No, ice is not ice cream. Snow cones.
Ice cream umbrella is snow cones, popsicles, any of that. Ice cream sandwich. It's all ice cream. That is under the umbrella.
Okay, JB. So you're picking snow cones?
That's the only answer. There's no other choice in this question.
John.
Yeah, I gotta go snow cones, man.
See, John gets it. They don't make a popsicle machine; they make a snow cone machine.
Oh man, I think he froze up.
That's a great view of John. Can you screenshot that so we could, use it for our promotions?
Actually, yeah. Let me go ahead and take a picture of this. Hold on. Let me take a picture.
Look at how distinguished he looks.
I'll give my take. Oh boy, this is great.
He just texted.
Oh yeah, there we go. Crashed. Okay, so he'll be back. All right. So
he's gone now.
I will. Oh, here we go. Okay,
he's rebooting.
He's rebooting. Okay, cool. I am gonna go against the grain and go popsicles. Wow. I love snow cones. I do. I really love snow cones. I think both of them are just as essential on a hot day. And I'm from Texas, you all. You know how hot it can get here. It's just, popsicles is just old school to me. If the ice cream truck comes around and, you get a popsicle that, the creamsicle, the orange creamsicle or the Astro Pop, universal favorites. I know now when I do get a snow cone, snow cones, I prefer them. Well, okay, JB, do you prefer them in the actual paper cone or in a cup?
Paper cone.
Cone. Okay, then. Okay, the traditional.
The only way to get it. The only way to do it. This newfound cup thing. What do we need a cup for?
Okay,
What do we? Come on. What is this?
I kind of agree with that. But yeah, with snow cones, don't get me wrong, I definitely love it. Oh, here's John. Snow cones always classic, that Astro Pop though in 95-degree weather, to me you can't beat it. John, you was in the middle of your take.
It's like the bomb pop, the red, white, and blue one you're talking about.
Yeah, the Astro Pop. Yeah,
that they're okay. We used to call those bomb pops.
Yeah, they're bomb pops.
Oh, they're bomb pops.
They're
Okay.
bomb pops, which might not be politically correct right now in today's day and age, but they're bomb pops.
Everybody's got bombs.
Yeah, it seems like it. Snow cones, man. I mean, how can you pick popsicles? A nice snow cone where you get that white little cup, and then you have the ice in a ball, like it's in a circular shape, and then they pour like the juice on it right in front of your little kid with it, looking up at the ice cream man, and he's just dropping the juice right on the ice, and it's all trickling in, and it fills up.
Can't go wrong.
And then you're chomping the ice off the top, and then it melts, and then you just drink the juice. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can't do that much with a popsicle. So ice cream, I mean the snow cone, which is part of the ice cream family.
Nope.
All the way.
You had me till that. You might as well say Caitlin Clark. I mean,
it's all ice cream. I don't understand what you're trying to say here.
John did say that he likes his in a cup, and JB, you don't believe in cups.
Cups are not for snow cones.
I like it in that white little cone, that white little like circular,
that
little cone, and then and then it starts melting out the bottom, and then you just start drinking it through the bottom of the little cup.
I can see that take because you see it as both a refreshing like snow cone,
and a drink.
It's in a drink, yeah. I can respect that take.
I mean, bomb pops are cool, but
hey, hold on, Jay. Do you remember? I don't know if you ever did this as a kid. When you went to the ice cream man, did you ever get those? WWF like ice cream pops, like the little cookie sandwiches or whatever it was, and they had Stone Cold and Triple H and
I was a little older. We had like Warrior, Hogan, and all of them, man. Yeah, those are classic.
I apologize to the listeners.
Those were my favorite. They were like $1, and they were the best price thing.
There's nothing $1 anymore.
And it was like a cookie sandwich. It was like ice cream in the middle, and then it was two like little like gingerbread cookies on the outside or something like that.
Chipwich used to be the best.
It was
amazing.
Sandwich.
I don't know whatever happened to them.
And they had the wrestlers printed on the front of the sandwich.
You guys remember the Chipwich?
The chip. What were they called?
Chipwich. It was 2 chocolate chip cookies as a cookie
sandwich.
Oh yeah.
But they were the best. Yeah, they were the best because they had a lot of chips.
I've had them under a different brand, but I know what you're talking about. They're like 2 huge cookies, and then there's the vanilla ice cream in the middle.
I think I only ate one in my life, but the taco, the ice cream taco with the chocolate.
Yes, the choco tacos.
Everybody loved it, and I only ate it like once, and everybody loved the choco taco.
Thank you, Tasha. Tasha gets it.
See, she understands.
Yeah.
Jay,
she's also from Pennsylvania, like you, John.
Well,
she's from Pittsburgh.
She's smart. She's a smart person.
Now, if she doesn't like Caitlin Clark, she'll be my #1 fan. I will be her #1 fan.
All right, what's up with John's fourth one?
Yeah, bonus time, guys.
All right. So, would you rather throw a perfect game on the toilet, or would you rather get bag fries from your favorite fast food place that you didn't expect, you didn't know they were in there, and after you're done your McDonald's or your Burger King or whatever, you got a handful of hot, bag fries. And yeah, JB, you're asking what's a perfect game on the toilet. Perfect game on the toilet is where
Joe, hang on 1 second, Jay. Do you know what that is?
I don't.
Okay, thank you. I wanted to make sure we were on the same page here.
All right, so a perfect game is whenever you go number 2 and you look down and it's not in there. It's called a ghost poop. So it's not in there, and then you get the college basketball star wipe. So you get one and done. You look back one, and then there's nothing there. There's nothing there on the wipe. On the toilet paper, there's absolutely nothing there. So you're one and done with that. That's called throwing a perfect game. So would you rather throw a perfect game on the toilet, or would you rather get a handful of bag fries that are still hot and salty when you thought you were out of fries? Mind you, that's like a one and done. That's like a Kyrie Irving or a Zion or whoever you want to call one and done in basketball. That's a Cooper flag. Would you rather Cooper flag?
Or would Jay, we've hit an all-time low, Jay. We've hit an all-time low.
It's called throwing a perfect game. That's what I coined it.
I'd never heard.
That's like me bounds. I'm going to trademark it.
Trademark toilet perfect game. But you know what? I mean, to your credit, John, that sounds like an absolute phenomenon. To think that
Have you
you're
ever had
moving
that
something
happen?
another.
You've never thrown a perfect game. Or a
No,
no-hitter.
never.
No-hitter is like the one and done. You get just the one and done.
Probably a no hitter. I've had a ton
Okay,
of no
you've
hitters.
thrown no hitters. Okay,
Yeah.
you've
But
had the
in this,
Nolan Ryan experience.
but in this instance, I'll take the bag fries. I'll take the bag fry. As much of
Okay.
a phenomenon as what you're talking about, I'm gonna take the bag.
I will
fry.
throw the perfect game all day. Give me the
Yeah,
perfect game.
I
I'm in and
disagree.
out. I'm done. I'm finished, and I got no
disagree with you.
mess.
You spent that whole time going there and all that time invested, and now you're eventually going to have to go back because you didn't take care of business. It's
You
actually
did.
the imperfect game.
You did.
Nah, it's the imperfect game.
You
need
took
to
your
see,
number 2.
You got to go see a doctor.
It's done.
You need a colonoscopy.
You
John.
got your Cooper flag, one and done. Now you
we take
boom flush. You don't even got to flush. That's the best
we
thing. You
take
ain't even
men's
gotta
health
flush. It's
seriously here
gone.
at Sideline Sports.
Wash
John
your
needs
hands.
a colonoscopy.
You stand up, pull up your pants, wash your hands. You're done. Like that saves you so many steps.
Well, thank God he washes his hands, Jay. That's all. We gotta set the bar high.
Check out John Shear on his new burner account, Me Bounds in Perfect Games.
Wow, I'm actually scared.
If you see Me Bounds in Perfect Games, that's John's burner.
Wow, him and KD going at it.
Yeah.
I told you it'd be out there on left field. I warned you, and you let me out of the cage anyway.
He did say kids cover your ears too. He didn't say it right
fair.
before he asked the question.
I'm glad Dave isn't here because Dave wouldn't have liked that question.
Dave would have loved it.
I actually think he would have answered it.
Dave's a team player. Raphael, I don't know if he would answer that.
Y'all know about that. That Raphael's a little too bougie. You know, I think.
Wow.
I think.
Wow.
Love you, Raph. But no, I can see Dave answering because Dave's been in the trenches, like, you know what I mean. So like I could see him.
I don't think Dave's ever thrown a perfect game or a no hitter. I can't see Dave ever throwing a no hitter.
I don't know. I don't want to know. These are topics that don't interest me. I don't care. I'm good. I'm good all the way here in the northern part of America in Chicago. Anyway, how about those NBA finals?
NBA finals.
Let's go.
So the Thunder won 103-91 in Game 7. SGA, the finals MVP. Is there a different result if Halliburton doesn't get hurt? So let's start with the unfortunate thing that we saw with Tyrese Halliburton. And as soon as it happened, I mean, I don't know if you don't have any memory of history, the guy we're going to talk about later, who I dislike and despise, and I'm glad he's Jay's problem, had a calf injury, went back to play in, I believe it was Game 5 of those finals, and he blew out his Achilles. Same thing happened here to Halliburton. And, got to give him credit for trying to play it out. It was a horrible thing to see him on the floor crying. I mean,
and his response, I don't know if you saw his response, but it was pretty amazing. Afterwards, go back and read his response. As far as like his outlook on the injury and losing the finals and whatnot, and he was just basically talking about, I blew my Achilles, but like there's people out there in much worse situations than I am. I just got hurt. Like there's people out there that are actually in trouble. So like, he's like, I can't be upset. I'm just going to work harder to get back. And for a young guy to lose Game 7, watch all slip away like that, blow your Achilles, and you're probably going to miss all of next season. Have that perspective, man. He's a great dude, a great player, great young dude, great mindset, great leader. I just like everything about him. I just like his makeup.
Yeah. He's what you want to have in a pro athlete.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen very often because, they're people, and like, any people, some people suck, some people are good, some people are great. His response, like John said, was phenomenal. To be grounded enough to say what he said after losing Game 7 of the NBA Finals. You're an athlete. You play your whole life to get to that point. And, you're at risk of losing millions and millions of dollars based on what happens with his injury. He lost the NBA Finals, and yet his response was, there's bigger things to worry about, and we're going to get through this. I appreciate everyone's support, and he was just, that's the response you want to have, and I have a lot of respect for him. I liked him before this. Now, I hope the dude comes back better than ever. As far as SGA being the Finals MVP, listen, SGA is a great player. Is he electric and exciting? No, but he's a great player.
He flops way too much. He flops way too much for my liking. It's the flopping. It's the crying for calls every time anybody breathes on him. That turns me off to his game because I think he obviously is really talented, but man, every time somebody gets near him when he drives, I mean, he embellishes so bad and he's got to cry for every call and throws it turns me off of his game and it makes me not care about the Thunder. I mean, like, to me, this finals was so anticlimactic. Like, we all got robbed of seeing a great finish to this series. Like, and that's not anybody's fault. I'm not blaming.
That's what I was going to say. Like, that's nobody's
I'm not
fault.
saying anything like that. I'm just saying the facts are we got robbed because it was a great series up until then. And even when he got hurt, like, the game was like neck and neck, and he was having a great game to start.
Well, the Pacers were up 1 at the half.
Yeah, no, the Pacers.
But we all knew it was over, JB. When he went down, we knew it was over.
No, we knew it was over when TJ McConnell thought he was a superstar. The guy can't hold on to the ball to save anything.
They weren't going in OKC without Halliburton after that and winning, in Game 7 against a number 1 team in the league. Like, you just weren't doing it without Halliburton. They tried, don't get me wrong, but OKC is just too strong, too good. You need your best player.
I don't think it would have mattered, Halliburton or not. OKC.
I honestly think they could have won that game with him.
But the reason that they lost that nobody spoke about, TJ McConnell, what is he doing?
I have no idea. The turnovers were baffling.
Yeah, they were.
There was one where he dribbled into the paint, was triple teamed, and lost the ball. Like, I get that that's his game.
He was trying to play hero ball.
But you're not that dude. You're not the guy.
If anything, the game should have and relatively did fall into Siakam's hands. Siakam only had 16.
Siakam disappeared in the third quarter. He was not a
I think it's fair to say everyone did. Yeah.
It's fair to say everyone did,
no, TJ McConnell. He was turning the ball over time and time again.
No, I'm saying the entire Indiana team just sucked the third quarter, and that was the game.
Well, I'll put it to you like this. The leading scorer was Benedict Mathurin off the bench. He had 24.
Yeah.
Yes, this is true. The Thunder had the Pacers had a 48-47 advantage at the half. And Stephen A. Smith said at halftime, hey, the Thunder are going to have to take advantage of the Pacers players, the star Pacer player being out. And if they can't, they have there's no way to explain that. And that's exactly what they did. SGA turned in a double-double. He had 29 points and 12 assists, which is a playoff career high. By the way, he became the first player in 25 years to win NBA MVP, Finals MVP, and a scoring title in the same season. Jalen Williams, his 2IC, he had a nice game. Everyone on the Thunder pretty much stepped it up, and they turned it up in the second half. The third quarter was a turning point to me because that is when the Pacers completely lost them. Into the third, it was 81-68, and I think it's fair to say everyone was like, man, this is over.
Yep.
This is over with.
As soon as I checked it and it was a 13-point game, I'm like, yep, bye-bye. That's game. Like, you don't have enough when you have – if they had Halliburton, Jay, then I would have been like, yeah, they can come back. They've done it many times this postseason. But without Halliburton, like I said, JB, it's over. Like, that's what changes it. Because guess what? McConnell doesn't do all that goofy stuff if Halliburton's there because he probably doesn't try and play hero ball. They probably all play in their respective roles and they have a chance to win. But without Halliburton, now everybody's got to go into an uncomfortable position on the road. Game 7. It's a 68-win team. It's just too much.
If you watch the series, though, that's McConnell's game lately.
No,
That's
I
all
know,
he's
but
been
Game
doing.
7 is a different animal. It's a different animal than
I
any
get
other game
that,
in a
but
series.
you
And
got
when
to
your best
realize.
player gets hurt like that, it's a different animal.
Not to mention, Halliburton had 9 points in 7 minutes. It was the middle of the first quarter.
Yep.
How many
Yep.
does he have at the end of that period? Now, me personally, I like to go by if a player's on pace for something.
Yep.
Even at that mark, he was on pace for
36.
36 points. Yeah.
And I
If
really
Halliburton scores 36,
they
I've
win.
got it about a 90% chance Indiana
win.
wins that game.
And I had I think we all had this feeling that Halliburton was going to do something that we would never forget in NBA history. Like I think it was going to be an NBA Finals Game 7 that we would never forget. Like I think we all kind of felt that coming. Like Halliburton was going to do something special tonight and help Indy win, and then he got hurt. Because, like you said, he already had 9, and he had a couple boards, a couple assists. Like, he already was having a great game, and they weren't even done the first quarter. So, you know what I mean? It's like one of those things where you see a guy's locked in, and something just clicking with him that night, and move out of the way. It's his time, and that's why I said I think we all got robbed of seeing a great finish to a great series, but it's not a great series because of how it finished. Because if Game 7 was anticlimactic, it's not a historic series to me because it's got to finish that way. Just like the Panthers series, like it flailed, it like fizzled out at the end, and that kind of took away from the greatness of the series, in my opinion. Because if you have that great of a series, it's got to finish like that.
It's got to finish like that, yeah.
Yep.
And I mean, with Tyrese, with Halliburton, see, if Halliburton would have played the whole game, and then no matter how many points he scored, if he played the whole game and the Thunder still win, then it is what it is. But at least Halliburton would have went out on his shield.
Yeah.
He didn't deserve to go down the way he did.
No.
Nobody ever does. We got a great question from Tasha. Does OKC have a great defense, or did the refs ignore some fouls? So I think both. I think they're both correct. I think OKC's defense is phenomenal. They were one of the best in the league, but I thought the officiating was garbage all of Game 7, both ways. I don't think
one could argue the whole series, but go ahead.
But typically in games like that, they let them play more often than they get ticky tack. You know what I mean? In Game 7, they'll more likely let them play. That's what I've seen over the course of my life in Game 7.
I would say that would be the case, John, if the calls went both ways.
I mean, think about the Super Bowl.
John, there were some horrible calls against Indiana that were ticky-tack fouls that they didn't call against OKC. It was definitely a one-sided called game, in my opinion. But, I mean, still at the same time, OKC's defense is phenomenal.
I'm just answering what she asked. She said, did the refs ignore some fouls? Yep, I think they did, because they sometimes will swallow their whistles in a winner-take-all. That way they let them decide and not the refs decide.
Yeah, they probably got a nice little phone call from Adam Silver saying, hey, let these guys play. This is Game 7. The NBA needs the ratings. So if he's not punching the guy in the stomach, just let it go. Let it go.
But it wasn't both ways. It was definitely one-sided.
But that's called home cooking. That's called home cooking.
But that was the question, Doug. Did OKC have a great defense, or did the ref ignore some fouls? It wasn't.
Well, I mean, have any of us ever watched sports? When you're at home,
I've never seen
you're
sports.
at home,
Explain what is sports.
You are more likely to get those calls. The other team is more likely to get hosed. It's just the way it goes. We always see that with home teams. They get the home cooking from the refs. Just call here, call there. It's just how it works.
Awful, John. They were awful. For Game 7 of the NBA Finals, you call it consistently. You call it fair. This isn't Game 1 or Game 2.
It's never going to be that way. It's never that way.
It should be. You can come back.
It should be, but we have this conversation.
Can come back after Game 1 or Game 2. After Game 7, that's it. So call it consistently. Call it fair. The NBA has an officiating problem. They suck. They should have had Zach Zarba on the game, who's one of the better officials. I don't know who they had officiating that game.
It's just like a Hail Mary. When a guy gets tackled in the end zone, do they ever call pass interference? No, they never call it. It's just the way it works. No, it's
Completely
the
different.
same thing. Like there's
No,
times
because
where
that goes for both teams. Both
no,
teams
but
have that opportunity,
there's
John.
times where they swallow their whistles, and there's times where they're
John,
ticky
but
tack.
that's both teams, John. If the
No,
Dolphins are
sometimes
playing the
it's
Jets,
not.
if the Dolphins are playing the Jets, John, and the Jets go for a Hail Mary at the end of the first half, and the Dolphins go for a Hail Mary at the end of the game, guess what? It's going to be called the same way both times.
But what happens when the Jets are jumping in the air and they pull down a dolphin? A guy knocks a dolphin over and then he catches it, but then when the dolphin goes up and he gets pulled down, they don't call anything. You know what I mean? Like, it's not always that way. Sometimes with the Hail Marys, they just let them play. Same thing with that. Like game
So, but
7, you're going to
they didn't
swallow the
just let him
whistle.
play, John. They called it one way. It's completely different.
Called home
letting him
cooking.
play. But
Home
you
cooking.
can't have home cooking and they swallow the whistles.
They
So
do.
they use the
He
whistles.
said, did the refs ignore some fouls? And that's what I'm telling you. They ignored
Read the
some
whole
fouls.
statement, John. Read the whole statement. Does OKC have a great defense, or did the refs ignore some fouls? It all goes together.
Yes. They
It
ignored
goes
some
together.
fouls.
It goes together, John. It's a combined statement. It's not two separate things.
I think it can.
JB, you feel two things can be true in this situation.
Yeah, exactly.
They have a great defense, and the refs did ignore some fouls, which, to John's credit, he said, Game 7, they tend to let them play. You two are actually on the same page.
No, because they called it one way. They didn't ignore those fouls on Indiana.
They're not going to ignore every single call or non-call. They're not going to do that every play. I'm just saying they're going to ignore more calls than they would in game 1. Those same calls in game 1, they're probably going to call that a foul. But in game 7, they're more likely to swallow their whistle. That's just the way it works. That's been sports since the beginning of time.
Let's talk about something else that's horrible. Jay's biggest problem. The useless, over-the-hill, garbage Kevin Durant got traded to the Rockets for shooting guard Jalen Green.
For the record, do you hate him more than Caitlin Clark?
I hate him as much as I hate Garrett Cole. Caitlin Clark is just someone I dislike. I don't think she's worth the hype. I have no ill will towards Caitlin Clark.
Okay, continue.
But Garrett Cole and Kevin Durant, I want nothing to do with. If they came over and said, I want to be best friends with you and I want to join Sideline Sports, I'd say, no, thank you. We're full. Anyway, so for Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, 2025 NBA 10th pick, and 5 second-round picks. Good or bad trade? Will this elevate Houston? So, Jay, you're the Houston guy. You start.
Okay. So, for the record, I'm not like that guy over there in the corner, okay? I actually like Kevin Durant. And if you would have told me this was going to happen 10 years ago, absolutely, I would have said yes. However, this is just me. And it's not just basketball, but any sport. You don't give up like you don't give up like good players or like half your farm or whatever for a 36-year-old with an injury history. I was vehemently against the trade. The only good news that I can say is we gave up Jalen Green, in which I would have loved to have kept him. However, some Rockets fans feel he disappeared in the postseason. It is what it is. Dylan Brooks bothers me because he was that pesky defender and our best defender at that. Let's see, first round pick and then 5 second-round picks. Talking with John about it, and he's going to give his take in a minute. And also alluding to Sean Russell last week, you kind of figure the NBA draft picks 1 through 15 were the most important picks, right? Yes. So draft pick wise, you really didn't. Not to mention, we kept the Suns' future picks. We didn't have to give those up, So I don't think we gave up too much. At the end of the day, we still got Sengun, we still got Fred VanVleet, Amen Thompson, Jabari Smith, Cam Whitmore, Ime Udoka is still leading the squad. We just signed Steven Adams to an extension. So does this knock the Rockets backwards? No. At worst, it'll keep them in the same spot. And the Rockets were the 2 seed last year, I mean, I feel ill about it, but I got no chance but to give him a choice. And at least Kevin Durant is playing basketball back in the state where he played college ball. He was drafted out of the University of Texas. So we'll see how this goes. I'm curious to now there was some there was some talk, because, and I've said this last year, because Houston did as well as they did, and Houston didn't have a clear number one guy. At any given night, anyone could bust you up. Sengun one night, the next night Van Vliet, the next night Jalen Green, the next night Amen Thompson, So the Rockets did not have a set number one guy. Now the number one guy clearly is Kevin Durant. So I'm actually curious to see if Ime Udoka is going to, well, like the other teams that Kevin Durant was on, if he's going to revolve the offense around Kevin Durant or if he's going to spread the ball around. So, and you know what? I think spreading the ball around in this one and not centering Kevin Durant, that would take pressure off of Kevin Durant. He is 36 years old. Now, he still plays at an elite level. Don't get me wrong, but it would be nice to get the pressure taken off of him, especially considering we have the team that can do that. So, again, we're just going to have to see what happens. I got no choice but to give it a shot.
All right. So I'm going to rebut him here. All right. So I'm going to agree with you. The 5 second-round picks are useless. In the NBA draft, a second-round pick, you have to get lucky.
Yeah.
So it's all good with that. The 10th pick, that one hurts. That's a big.
That's a luxury pick for Houston. That's a luxury. Yeah. That's not like their pick. That's something that they had acquired. Yeah. You know what I mean? So that was like Detroit a couple years ago having the 2 upper echelon first round picks when they were already good. It's like, okay, those are just bonus picks.
Yeah, it still hurts for a guy that's not in his prime. The Green and Brooks on paper, if you're going to tell me Green and Brooks for Durant, I'm going to do that all day, as much as I dislike him. And, but I'm not liking the first round pick. The everything else I don't care about.
Okay. So you are more about the giving up the pick versus the actual players.
Okay.
You weren't really crazy about the other two.
Brooks and Green, yeah, they're really good. Kevin Durant, if he's locked in until he says later this year that Houston's not working for him and he wants to get traded, or he hurts his toe, he looks at Anthony Davis, who has, a broken pinky finger, and says, I'm going to be out for 6 months because I watched Anthony Davis get hurt. Wow. Until that happens, Green and Brooks for Durant all day. That makes sense. The 5 second round picks, like I said, that's luck. The Rockets may have gotten one good guy out of 5 second round picks. I'm okay with that. The first round pick, which I'm sure is what made the deal go through.
Probably so.
Because, if you're the Suns, he's still Kevin Durant. You're going to get something for him. You're not going to tell your fan base, we got Green, Brooks, and 5 second round picks. How does that sound? They're going to laugh at you. So I get why they did it, but that to me would have been the thing that stopped me. Kevin Durant can play basketball. Kevin Durant has a personality issue. He's not a leader. He's a child. The guy went to Golden State to win a championship, wasn't happy there. Then he went to Brooklyn.
No, he did not leave. He did not leave because he was unhappy with anything except the way Golden State handled him and Draymond Green's altercation.
Yes, he was unhappy there.
Yeah, he was unhappy with how they handled.
He was unhappy there because he's a child. He's a child. He's a child.
JB.
He's a child. He went to Brooklyn. John, hang on. He went to Brooklyn.
No. He's
John,
one of the
hang on. You'll have your chance.
Ever.
John, hang on. You will have your chance. He went to Brooklyn. He went to Brooklyn. He brought in his guys because we're going to win in Brooklyn. Let's bring in Harden and let's bring in Kyrie Irving. We're going to win it all. They did nothing.
They played 16 games together.
Then that's it. I'm going to go somewhere else because my guys disappointed me and I can't carry a franchise. I had to go win with Steph. Now I can't win anymore. So now he went to Phoenix and they sucked and they had tons of talent there. And now he's with Houston. The guy's not a leader. He's not the guy I want to be my number one. I'll tell you another guy I dislike that I would take any day of the week over him, LeBron James. And I think Kevin Durant has just as much talent as LeBron James. But guess what? He's not a leader. He's a child. Go play on your burner account and go have fun because you will not take this Rockets team anywhere close to where they were. You're not going to be the 2 seed, not going to be the 3 seed. Maybe you'll be a 5 seed. And you're going to go out in the first round for the rest of the time you're there. It's, I feel bad for the Rockets. I get why they did it, but I don't like the direction they're going. John?
All right. there's so many things you were wrong about in what you said. Just crazy to me. First of all, when he was with Golden State, they either choose Draymond Green or they choose one of the greatest players to ever play in the NBA. In the whole history of the NBA, it's one of the greatest players we've ever seen. He's not the greatest, but he's one of the greatest. And they chose Draymond Green, took Draymond Green's side, and that's why he was upset, which I understand. If I'm one of the best players to ever live, and I carried us to 2 championships, not one, but 2 championships, and I was Finals MVP in both, and you chose Draymond Green, you took his side, I would kind of be upset too, because you know what? Like, with me, you're unstoppable. They were no longer unstoppable, JB, after he left. With him, it was like Thanos getting all the rings, like all the Infinity Stones, like they were unstoppable. But they chose Draymond Green, like, which I thought was a terrible decision. Hey, Golden State got one more championship years later. You said in Brooklyn, you said he cried and he didn't do anything. Jay, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was a toe away from being in the NBA Finals with Brooklyn.
Winning the series.
A toe. If he had a smaller shoe size, JB, he takes Brooklyn to the NBA Finals.
So
your Brooklyn Nets.
You tell me he lost, right?
He was a toe away. His toe was a little bit too big.
So
if
he
his
lost,
toe was,
right?
if God made his toe an inch smaller, he's in the NBA Finals that year.
And he's a loser.
Kevin Durant wore a size
John,
12 instead of a size 13.
Your Baltimore fandom makes sense. You're happy to make the playoffs. You're happy to make the playoffs.
And we
win it
watched
all, and then
him
come
that
talk to me.
playoffs. He carried that Brooklyn team. Nobody else did anything, especially in that conference finals. That was all KD. Like, he did every single thing.
And he got to watch the finals at home.
He was a toe away. So,
as a matter of fact, John, if I'm not mistaken, that game, the next series, because they went 7 games, right? When they lost that game, the talk wasn't about Kevin Durant. The talk was about James Harden disappearing.
James Harden disappeared. Kyrie had his whole thing where he got like kind of sort of banned from the NBA or whatever that whole weird situation was. So I only played 16 games with the Nets because he had that whole thing where he wasn't going to play basketball anymore. And it was kind of like, it was almost like being banned, but he wasn't.
It was the COVID thing too.
Yeah, it was all that stuff. So it was like a weird situation. I'm not defending him. I'm just providing you the facts, JB. You said this guy's washed up. He averaged 26.6 points a game last year,
in a
6
league that
boards
plays no defense.
and 4 assists. JB, for his career, is a 27.7 board, 4 assist guy. And he's one of the greatest players ever with 27 a game, 7 boards, 4 assists for his career. And he almost averaged that last year at 36 years old. But you told me that he's washed up. He was all NBA. He was an all-star.
What team has he led to the finals in the last 5 years?
JB, him in Phoenix was not his fault. I said when they made the trade, it was a terrible trade because when they did it, they gave up the entire farm. This is what I didn't want Houston to do. And Phoenix did exactly what I said they shouldn't do. So if they trade for him, they're going to give every single piece because they had a lot of great depth on that bench. I remember because they went to the finals a few years before that. They traded it all away. All the really good depth pieces they gave away, and they're like Bradley Beal, Booker, and Durant. Carry us because we've got absolutely nothing else left. Nobody can succeed with that because you have to have some sort of depth in order to get to the finals and win the finals. Like, it don't matter who you got. There's got to be some depth pieces off that bench because you can't play 48 minutes a night. It's just not happening for any player ever. So I can't say Kevin Durant's washed. I can't say all of it was his fault. I can't say, like, some of it was. I think that he should have done more with what he had in his career, but the Houston trade doesn't bother me, JB, because he doesn't have to be the guy. Houston did exactly what I wanted them to do when they traded for him. Don't give up the farm. Keep your key pieces. Keep your depth. Yeah, they gave up a defensive guy in Brooks. Hey, you gave up Green to get Durant. That's an upgrade at the shooting guard position or however you want to play that with Houston. However they want to do that, that's an upgrade. So you really only lost Dylan Brooks, but guess what? When you're playing offense, the guy's a liability anyway. Like Draymond Green's a liability on offense. He ain't really going to give you much. And I'm not a big fan of guys that can't play offense and they only play defense. So, like, he does not have to be the guy, Jay, in Houston. He is going to be the guy in the playoffs, which is what they need. Because I said in the playoffs this year, they lacked a guy. When that series, Jay, when they lost that series, it was on the line. It was kind of teetering. They didn't have a guy to go to and say, go put up some points.
Go win the game.
Because that's what lost them that series. It was they to tip them over the scales, they needed somebody to put the ball in their hands and go and shoot, give me 7 points in the fourth quarter. They didn't have that.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
You know what I mean? Like, even now they got
we took Golden State to Game 7. If we would have had Durant last year, yeah, we win that series.
Yeah, because
I'll agree with you on that one.
You had a number one scorer. They have a lot of really good two scorers in Houston, and they got great defense. They got great coaching. They got depth. They got a bench. They just needed, like Miami, needs a number one guy you can hand the rock to and say, all right, give us 27. Sagan's going to give us some points. Thompson's going to give us some points. This guy's like the Pacers. Halliburton carries the load. He's their number one man, but they have a really good build. They have good depth. They have good guys that can knock down threes, and that's why the Pacers were able to get there. And that's what I see with Houston. If they can get through SGA and company, I think they have as good a shot as anybody in the West to get to the final.
Your number 5 seed Houston Rockets. You heard it here first.
They were 2, and they got better.
Yeah, they were 2, and they didn't have a cancer on the team. Now they have a cancer.
He's not a cancer. He didn't cause problems in Phoenix. He didn't cause problems in Brooklyn. And he won 2 titles with Golden State and 2
Obviously, his feet are too big, John. Obviously, his feet are too big, so he's not very good. If his feet are a little
bit smaller, he's in the NBA Finals, and you're jumping up and down.
In other words, he's a loser.
How's that a loser? He was an all-NBA this year, 26 points a game.
No respect.
Right along the same numbers.
Go play on Twitter with your burner account.
He's one of the greatest players to ever live.
It's a shame. It's a shame because he has no character.
So what do you say about you told me he's washed up. What do you think about that?
What do you mean?
26.6 a game.
Good for him.
6 boards a game.
Nobody plays defense in the NBA, John. Very few teams play defense.
Okay, thank you.
How many teams play defense? Miami, OKC, who else?
I'm just telling you, he's not washed. He may be more likely to get injured, but I also think Houston is going to limit him this year in the regular season so they can keep him fresh for the postseason. I think they're going to kind of be smart with his minutes.
Right now, Jay, mark it down. I said they're a 5 seed, right? Okay. And they're going to go out in the second round of the playoffs. They'll win the first round. But that's it. That's as far as they go. John, where are they going next year right now?
I think they're going to the conference finals.
Conference finals? What seed are they?
I think they're the 2 seed.
They're the 2 seed conference finals. I'm saying 5 seed second round.
I mean, in the West, who is going to be better than them aside from OKC?
OKC, possibly Denver.
Denver's going to be rebuilding.
I still think they're going to be better than that.
They got Jokic, and then Murray's going to be gone. They really don't have anything anymore.
They got
and Minnesota's the only one in the West where you could say, okay, yeah, I can see them be a higher seed than Houston. Everybody else, I'm like, Clippers, Lakers, like Mavericks,
Well, I told you 5 seed, second round. You say 2 seed, conference finals.
Conference finals. And I always say when you get to a conference finals and when you get to a championship, it's hard to predict because once you're there, that's kind of like getting to a game 7. Anything can happen. So that's how I always see conference finals and championship.
John's already backing down saying...
I'm not backing down, but that's how I see those things. It's like when you get to those spots, anything can happen because you're already there. So it's hard to say, well, are they going to win the conference finals or not? Well, anything can happen once you get that far in the season.
Okay, Jay, your predictions?
I say I would like to get back to the 2 seed. So yeah, I'm gonna say the 2 seed. I mean, I'm good with, I'm glad the Rockets, achieved what they did last season. But I'm gonna say the 2 seed. I got the Thunder at number 1 because that is a very young team They were the youngest team in 48 years to win the NBA championship. The league's going to have to deal with them for a very long time. It may be a Houston OKC conference finals come next season.
All right, so you're with John. I'm sorry to tell you, you're both going to be wrong. We will look back at this in May of next year, and I will say, sorry, guys, your cancer has gone home for the summer as you lose in the second round.
Who's getting to the conference finals?
OKC, and I don't know who else. Maybe.
Okay. So you don't know. You know that Houston's not going to be there.
I'm giving you my prediction for Houston.
Okay.
I think OKC is winning it all again next year. I got them repeating. But
this is the same guy. Everybody listening, this is the same guy. When the Panthers were down, to Toronto in the playoffs, I told you guys, and Dave, they're not dead till they're dead. They're the champs for a reason. I tried telling you guys. Remember that? And Dave, what did Dave say? Resiliency doesn't win games. Goals win games. And JB, you agreed that the Panthers were dead and Toronto finally was going to break through. And I tried to tell you about Canada can't play hockey. They can't win championships. Tried telling you about that. And what happened, JB? Florida came back. Florida won. They beat my Hurricanes, and then they went and won another championship, just like I tried telling you.
And
guys.
they demolished the Oilers in Game 7. Whoever that one kid is, I forget his name. I can see his jersey right now. 4 goals in Game 7. 4 goals, 2 of them in a minute. I was like, oh man, it's a wrap.
John, remember this quote of wisdom, John. Even a clock that doesn't work is right twice a day. That's all I'm going to tell you.
I know what I'm talking about. I tried telling you guys, and you didn't listen. You poo-pooed me, and I said it's the same thing when we watch the Super Bowl. Again, I'm going to go back to it. When the Chiefs are down 17-0, none of us are like, this Super Bowl's over. We're like, okay, well, they still got Patrick Mahomes, and his game isn't over. Like, if that was Blake Bortles against the Eagles, we're like, you know what? Yeah, it's 17-0, this game's over. But Chiefs are the champs, and you got Mahomes. So it's like, okay, this game's not over. They're not dead till they're dead. You know, even when the Eagles kept running it up, I was like, until that clock hits 0, I'm not believing that the Chiefs lost this game, because that's it. When you're the champs, you deserve that respect.
Yep.
Possibly.
What do you mean possibly?
Possibly.
I just proved me right, and you and
by
Dave
using
wrong by saying at the beginning of the playoffs when the Panthers were
Patrick
down,
Mahomes,
the Panthers were down, and I said, don't count them out. They're the champs. They're resilient. Oh, resilient.
Listen, they had a hell of a playoffs, and they proved why they're the champs.
2 years in a row.
I'm not disputing that.
So give them the benefit of the doubt.
Hey, JB, you want to cover this one in the last 3 minutes, real quick?
Now let's shelve it because we only got 2 minutes.
And nobody cares. Nobody cares about it.
Oh, did you see that? That was pretty horrible.
No.
Did you see what happened again?
It was actually.
So.
Oh, okay. Well, hold on. We can at least answer this in 2 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is the Ohtani designated hitter rule good for baseball?
What is the Ohtani DH rule? I got it.
So basically, what it is this is a pitcher. Of course, it started with Ohtani. This is a pitcher who, if they are marked as a designated hitter and they start, because it used to be before, if they started, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But then they left the mound, like that was it for them.
Yeah.
You know, but with the Ohtani rule, if they started, even after they leave the mound, they can still bat.
No, you shouldn't be able to do that.
It's horrible.
You get one spot in the lineup, whether it's the starting pitcher or batting, you get one spot. And if you get taken out of that spot, you're no longer in the game. You should only get to be a starting pitcher or the DH. Like, no, you should not be able to do that. That is not fair at all.
It's absurd.
It's horrible.
It's Rob Manfred at his absolute best as usual.
Golly.
Let's have a ghost runner. Let's have 17 more wild card teams. You know, let's make the game an hour and 2 seconds. You know.
So is this happening, or is it like they're talking?
This is the current rule. Because remember, a long time ago, and JB, correct me if I'm wrong. The National League, the pitchers hit, and the American League had designated hitters.
Right,
that was the ninth. That was the ninth guy on the lineup.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But it used to be like whenever that pitcher exited the mound, that was it for him.
Yep.
And whoever was pitching the relief pitcher, they went up there and hit.
Yeah,
But
they would
now,
strategize. They would strategize because they
Yeah.
were like, well, if I leave this guy in one more inning, you know what I mean? Like based on when he was coming up in the lineup, you could strategize on whether you wanted to take him
actually a
out
thinking
now
game.
or later. Yeah, exactly.
Now it's, I got a DH. Okay. You know, I don't like it. But the whole Otani rule, he pitched an inning
Okay.
and they took him off the mound. They put in a new pitcher
Should
and
be
he
out
was
of the
still the
game.
DH. He was still the DH the whole
He
game.
should be out of the game. That automatically removes you from the game.
Yep. I agree completely. I thought it was absurd when I heard it. And, it's like a special rule for Otani. And I get, he's big for baseball. We need Otani to do well. We want to see him, be great. But
it's like,
at
hey,
the
that's
same
the
time,
only thing we have to market, that and Aaron Judge. Let's just shove it down everybody's throats.
yeah, it's pretty bad.
Let me ask you this. I always wanted to know this. Would you ever consider making a rule where if you take a pitcher out, you can put him back in later in the game? I don't understand why that's ever been a thing in baseball where it's like, oh, you're out of the game. Football, you can come back in. Basketball, you can come back in. Like hockey, you can come back in. Why in baseball is it like, you're out of the game. You're out of the game. Why can't you come back in as a pitcher, to pitch 2 innings later if you really wanted?
I think the reason
It's your
being,
team.
I think it is, but I think the reason
Not
being
batter
is
wise, you can't do that with batters, but pitchers.
But with a
why
pitcher,
not?
yeah. Well, I think the reason being is because you don't want to wear the pitcher out. They already have to have JB. What is it? A minimum 3 days rest for a starting pitcher. It's like a minimum 3 days rest. So if he's out there and he pitches like 5 innings, right, 6 innings, and let's just say he's a power pitcher, like he's throwing 95, that's his pitch. Now you might take him out, but then it could be. But he's already going to have at least 3 days rest just from pitching 5-6 innings. If you put him back in like the 8th or the 9th inning, and he's throwing what?
No,
10
I'm not
more
talking about starters. I'm talking about relief pitchers. Like if I have a guy come out in the 7th, but then I want him to come back out in the 9th, why can't I do that? You know what I mean? Like why
pitchers
can't I
used
do
to
that?
pitch? They used to pitch complete games like at will back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
Like
nowadays you rarely see them.
I don't know. I think the whole thing is absurd.
But why can't you bring Mariano Rivera back in? If you had him come in the 7th, you're like close down the 9th too. Why can't you do that? Every other sport you can come back in. Why is baseball like?
See, I'm okay with that because that's been the rule forever. So let's stick with it. I like to stick with the old rules. I hate new rules that change the game.
Like why?
Also, I don't want to wear out somebody from our bullpen either. And it's not saying relief pitchers pitch 5 innings or whatever, but also don't want to take the risk of wearing out my bullpen also.
But it's your prerogative.
I'd rather that than a ghost runner or
gosh,
a pitch clock or half the other new rules we have. I'd rather your rules, John.
That so you can't go to the bathroom or get food or drinks ever because you'll miss a whole inning or two just going to the bathroom.
Oh yeah, you leave and go take in the first inning. You go leave and take a dump. You come back. It's the 4th inning. I missed half the game. Like
you go
take a dump long enough. You miss half the game.
But Jay, if you throw a perfect game on the toilet, you can.
It's the same amount of time, John. It's the same amount of time.
It's not because it's less wiping. It's less wiping. You don't got to.
I don't want to know what.
And you just wash your hands.
We began the show with a perfect game, and we're ending it with a perfect game.
My question before we go, John: how much toilet paper did you go through during COVID that you're saying it's less wiping?
Hey, it's money. It saves money. The less squares you use, the less money it costs you.
I cannot spare a square, John. I cannot spare a square. On that note, this has been another excellent edition of Sideline Sports. I'm JB Ellis, John Shear, Denzel Snipes, Jay Nelson, whatever you want to call him, from Houston, the newest owner of the Kevin Durant saga. He will be living it all year. He will see within the number 5 seed, but they'll win a playoff round this year coming up. Good for him. I'm proud that it's happening for you, Jay, but I'm sorry you're not going to win it all because you got Kevin Durant, and that doesn't happen. Hopefully we have Dave back next week. Say hi to Donald, Mickey, and the rest of the friends out in Southern California. But we will see you next week. It'll be mostly baseball, sprinkle in maybe some WNBA because the NBA draft after Cooper Flag, we were going to talk about that tonight, but we got caught in a perfect game.
And thank you for everybody that tuned in. We appreciate it.
Yes. But we will see you next week. We'll talk some more. I know you want us 7 days. Call your local radio stations. Tell them they need to put us on for 3-4 hours a day. We're
I
available.
will give you the craziest takes if you put me on radio. I promise
Yeah,
you.
the FCC doesn't want that. All right, guys. We're out of here. Dave Imposter.
I will say this much: I can't go into too much detail or anything like that. But because of recent events that have been happening worldwide, if you have a family member who is active duty military, call and check on them, see how they're feeling, talk them through it. Please, please, please look out for your active duty, guard, reserve, anybody that's currently
And
serving.
be
If you have a
safe.
friend, if you got a cousin, anyone, call and check on them and how they're feeling with everything going on. Other than that, be good humans. We'll see y'all next week.
Be safe during the heat.
Yes.
Hydrate.